Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the Bhoycie Bus. We're back. It is P.M.P. As usual, at this point in the show, I'll say something like, it's Thursday, you know what that means, but it's not the TNF tonight, it's P.M.P. It's that time between Christmas and New Year, Terry, where we don't even know what day it is, Thursday, Sunday. I mean, today I genuinely thought it was Sunday at times, honestly. It just felt like that. It's all over the place. But yes, Celtic did get a victory today over Motherwell, so we're here to talk about it. And yeah, Russell Bhoycie is away sunning himself in Tenerife. I think he booked up a very last-minute Christmas break. So yeah, I'm filling in tonight for him, but I'm sure we'll get through it. There's plenty to talk about after that performance today. But Terry, how was your Christmas? How are you today, sir?
It's all right, Phil. Very, very quiet. Haven't had a drop of drink yesterday or the day. Just wasn't interested. Just if I feel like having a drink, I'll drink any day I want. But I didn't feel like it yesterday. I didn't feel like it today. I'm back to work tomorrow. So it does. It feels a wee bit strange. A Friday tomorrow, I have to go to work, and then maybe have a wee couple over the weekend. But really, really quiet. Just the kids and the in-laws, and that's pretty much it. Nothing. Just sort of. Yesterday, you sort of have the fuss and everything, and once you get your dinner in you, it's just thinking about the football from then till today kind of thing. So I was really looking forward to today's game. And the first time, I couldn't believe this when I read it in the paper this morning, the first time Celtic have played at home on Boxing Day since 2010, even though there's a random fixture generator. And I heard a podcaster from the Rangers side was complaining that they had to travel because it wasn't fair on their fans.
To Paisley.
2010 was the last, and they're travelling at the weekend, but that's to Motherwell, which isn't far either.
Yeah. Oh, poor little There's the world's smallest violin out again playing for them. Oh, boo-hoo.
2010, I couldn't believe that. 14 years since they played at home on Boxing
Do you know what? I'm glad to say that was something I was going to bring up today because I genuinely didn't know when it was. I knew it was a while ago, but I am stunned it was that long ago. 2010, that was Lenny's.
2010. Now, I don't think it's been 14 years. There must have been years where there wasn't a game on Boxing Day. We were maybe the day after or something. Yeah. So I think it's the last 8 times we've played on Boxing Day we've been away, something like that.
I remember Brendan raised it last season. He brought that up, and conveniently this season, we get a home game on Boxing Day. But before we go any further, folks, to get into what happened today, do all that good stuff. Help the channel out massively, of course, as usual. Hit the like button, helps out. No algorithm, CSC, as I always say. We'll get the Bhoycie Bus recommended to more people on YouTube if they happen to like Celtic podcasts and watch a lot of them. Then YouTube will recognise that and hopefully recommend the bus to them. Get involved in our chat, as people are doing already tonight. It's quite busy, as you would expect after a victory. We've got Jim C's in, Seamus McKenna's in, Pato. We've got Patman6. We've got Mr. A. Oh, a mystery indeed. Who else have we got? Indeed, Scott Cameron's in, Jonathan Buckland, Alex Forsyth. Yes, they are all there. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. And hit the bell notification to be reminded when we're on the road. And you can share the link of the Bhoycie Bus on social media, on whatever platform tickles your fancy. And of course, you can still head over to piesports.com and you can use that code BUS1888 and you will get 12.5% off of your order. And with all that said and done, all the housekeeping out the way, let's get into it. Yeah, Celtic 4, Motherwell 0, a comprehensive victory in the end. Our biggest victory, I think, since we demolished Ross County, which seems like an eternity ago because performances have been a bit underwhelming recently, Terry, to say the least. I mean, at the weekend there against Dundee United, that was a complete non-event. That match, there was literally nothing to talk about after it. It was a good thing there was no P.M.P because there was nothing to even analyse from the Dundee United game. But yeah, today, the first half, if you had to sum it up really quick, I'd say the first half was a bit of the same, really. Had a lot of possession, never really did much with it. Second half, I felt we did find another gear at least. And in the end, without really breaking a sweat, when you actually look at it, we've won pretty comprehensively. And you've got to take the positives from that. You've got to look at it from that point of view, first and foremost, Terry.
Yeah, I've noticed there the team who have benefited from many decisions over the years have equalised. Very, very scrappy. No, in terms of the game today, Phil, I think you've called it pretty much right there. In the end, we run out very, very comfortable winners. And from my vantage point in front of the telly, I thought the second half was really, really good. The first half was a bit similar to the game at Tannadice, where we didn't create an awful lot. With plenty of the ball without any real purpose. Got the breakthrough kind of fortuitously just before half time. But I think once we got our noses in front, then get back out for the second half. And the second half performance was good. I thought it was good. Bringing on the substitutes, which I think probably, the substitutes that came on probably made us stronger than the initial starting lineup. It was great to see Kuhn. Initially, it was great to just see him on the bench because I think there was some concerns that he could be out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then to see him come on and just sort of fit back in again to the form that he's been showing all season was really, really impressive. Not delighted with that today. And I think we've got that game today was the first of 4 out of 5 at home in the league. So I think over that period of a lot of home games and then the one game away at Ibrox, if we can win all of those games, then that probably is going to remove any doubts that still remain that there's a title challenge.
Yeah. Say the weekend I noticed the noisy neighbours were piping up and all the screen grabs are flying around, the tweets and whatnot. Oh, we went on January 2nd, there's 6 points in it and whatnot. But I say I'm not too concerned, but we'll deal with that when we get to January the 2nd. We'll see where both teams are when we kick off next Thursday. But we'll talk about the team lineup there. I think the first headline that jumped out, and to be fair, Charles Smith has came in and said this quite early on. He says it has to be Yang's last game, just not good enough. I think that was the name that stood out to many, but the problem I think we've got is right now our winger options, once you take Kuhn and Maeda out of the equation, I think if James Forrest was fit, I think he would actually started today, and I'd have been happy with James Forrest starting because I feel that you get more out of him. With Yang and Palmer in particular, and we saw Palmer up at Tannadice got a cameo appearance. You just don't know really if you're going to get anything out of these two. Yang today, do you pin? I mean, I don't want to go in too heavy on the boy at the end of the day. Brendan's clearly, I want to say he's using it if he sees something in him, but I think it's just more a case of he's all that's really available right now. Brendan's having to make the best of what he can, really, or what's there. It does highlight, though, that there has to be a serious look at that area of the park, Terry, when January comes around. I know it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, yeah, just go out and buy this and buy that. This is what we need. But Brendan being the guy that he is and the type of manager he is, surely he notices that there is a massive, massive drop-off, and Yang today just didn't really get into the game at all. There's one point particularly in the first half where he cut across the box and the pass was there at times and then he went for the shot. It just bounced off a Motherwell defender. Nothing came of it. He does, of course, he is involved in winning the penalty. There is that. At least he was smart enough to get in there before the goalkeeper got to the ball. So there was that. Plus he did, but overall, Yang last game, I do fair to Charles Smith. I think we'll still see Yang. I don't know if we'll be able to just get rid of him like that. But and with Celtic, when it comes to transfer windows, there's no way to predict what we're going to actually do. But from our point of view, Terry, I guess safe to say that we can see that we definitely need a better option there when injuries set in, like Kuhn and Maeda, if they're not available.
Yeah, I've been really patient with Yang, and I have sort of championed that there's a player in there somewhere just waiting to come out. Now I think that won't come out when he's at Celtic. He's had enough opportunities now. There are some flashes where he looks as if he could be a player, but the Dundee United game where he came in, I thought, right, do you know what? He's come in and he's got Ralston behind him, and neither of them have played an awful lot, and you could see that Celtic were purposely playing down the left-hand side where there was a more established set of first-team players in Taylor and Maeda, and you could argue then that Yang didn't get an awful lot of the ball. But then I thought if he gets a game at Celtic Park where we're totally monopolising the possession and he still doesn't do enough, then yeah, you've got to draw the line under that one. And I know he won the penalty today, but he just there's just not enough. There's not enough productivity. There's not enough output. He still looks as if he can go past a man, but what he does after he goes past him, he's just not going to give us the output that we need from a winger. And probably unfair to compare him to somebody like Kuhn on the form that Kuhn's in at the moment. But even James Forrest, as you said, James Forrest had been fit today. He would have played and Yang wouldn't have. So I would expect in January just the names that are being bandied about in terms of wingers. You're maybe looking at one winger who can play on both sides and can provide that sort of depth and competition for who's currently the top two, Maida and Nicholas Kuhn. But nah, I think Yang's time is probably up. Palma's is very much the same as well. He started well enough for Celtic and he contributed quite a lot, but just he's not going to do the drop off from whoever he comes on to replace. It's just too much. So I think time's up for both of those two. And you've got to wonder then, is there not even somebody in the B team that could come in and at least do the same as what Yang did today or what Palma does whenever he comes in and plays? Don't know.
Yeah, you'd like to think, though, again, why we got a B team, there has to be something coming through there. There's, of course, talk of this boy, Johnny Kenny, not to be confused with John Joe Kenny. Johnny Kenny coming back from this loan spell, but he's been a B team player for a wee while now, and he's been on loan at Shamrock Rovers. There's talk of him coming back as a third choice striker in January. We'll wait and see if anything materialises there. But yeah, you have to imagine there must be somebody in that B team. But overall, I just hope that Brendan is taking some notes there in that position, because it's definitely a massive drop off. And of course, other headlines from the team was Ralston was still filling in for Alistair Johnson, which had the usual mixed Tony Ralston results that you get today, where there was a few good crosses near the end of the game, I felt, when we were cruising, but during the game at times, some of the getting forward and getting crosses in, it was like square toes or something like that. It was just awful to watch. Then Ida came in for Kyogo, which was fair enough. I thought Ida looked a bit more lively when we played at Tannadice at the previous game, but that wasn't saying much. We were quite dreadful that day. And of course, CCV was back, which I think, Terry, is a huge sigh of relief from any Celtic fan right now, because again, I know that Trusty and Scales have done well at times this season, but I mean, just looking back at what happened in the cup final, that 4-on-1 moment is a defining moment for Carter Vickers. That's one of those. I remember at the time in the commentary, they said that if Rangers don't win this game, that is a moment where they lost it. And yeah, Carter Vickers, just seeing him back, it does lift the weight off your shoulders, doesn't it, when you see him there, Terry?
Yeah, 100%. And interestingly, Scales staying in alongside him. So again, it'll be interesting to see whether Trusty comes back in again as first choice, or whether that position's back up for grabs again. I think the fact that Scales came on in the cup final against Rangers, and he might stay in for the game on January the 2nd. We just don't know. Trusty obviously wasn't 100%, wasn't able to play against Dundee United, and possibly still feeling the effects of whatever kept him out. So just be interested to see how that one plays out in the next home game, and then obviously against Rangers on the 2nd. Is Scales back in favour again, or is it just temporary, or indeed is he just going to flip between the two, or the three of them, because there will be times as well over this run where Carter Vickers needs some rest as well.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to bring up Scales, because there's something I want to talk about regarding Scales today as well, in the attacking side of the game, but we'll get to that when we get to the second goal. But going into the game, so this is interesting, because I was at Celtic Park and you were watching it, so you've got the benefit of all the replays and whatnot, of all the incidents that happened, and most of my notes all revolve around a very hot topic this week in the world of Scottish football about officiating and refereeing, because I've got a lot of questions, Terry, to ask about some of the bizarre decisions. I believe the referee's name is Ross Hardy. He's not one I'm totally familiar with, but hopefully we don't see him for a long time, because he was a frustrating referee. But yeah, a lot of my notes from the game that I was taking while I was there was like, need to ask Terry about this, need to ask Terry about that, because yeah, some of the stuff was just bizarre in the stadium. They weren't given as many clues as to what was going on. And the first one actually that I want to go to quite early on in the game, where apparently a Motherwell player got booked for diving in the box. My heart was in my mouth, because it was like one of those moments where the future seemed to flash before me, where we lost the ball. It was quite clumsy, and Yang gets really close to this guy. And again, I'm saying the future's flash moment. I'm like, he's going to foul him. He's going to do something really stupid here. He's going to trip him up or something. And initially, it looked like that is exactly what happened. But then the referee actually booked him for a dive, which I mean, if it was a dive, I mean, fair enough. I don't know if there'll be a strongly worded statement being put out by another team regarding that one. We'll wait and see. But yeah, when that happened, genuinely my head was in my hands, like, oh no, I can't believe he's went and done that. But fair enough, he seemed to have got away with that one. So was that the right call? Did the Motherwell player take a lunge there looking for a penalty?
I think he did, Phil. I think that there might have been some really, really minimal contact. I think it was quite similar to one later on in the game where Maida was nudged. There's probably even more contact on the Maida one, but you're right in what you say. You could see a mile away what Yang was going to do. You could see he was going to make a challenge, and you could see he was delaying, and he was going to make it when the player was in the box. So I think in terms of the decision, it was fine, but in terms of Yang's decision making, that wasn't fine. That was very poor.
Yeah, as I say, I was properly like, oh no, I can lose it, but no, in the end, the referee booked him, which took many of us in the area where I sit by surprise, because I'm behind that penalty area at Celtic Park in 139, and genuinely we were like, oh no, but thankfully we got away on, as you say, it looks like it was the right call. But we then had, obviously, there was a VAR shout for a handball, there was a bit of a delay in the stadium, but in the end they waved it away and said it wasn't a penalty. Was that a fair shout?
Well, Phil, my phone's been going mental since that one, and the whole of Europe's talking about it, and I honestly don't think I'll ever get over it in my life. But he didn't give it. I think the question can only be, was there contact or was there not? Because he's jumped up with his arm in the air. If there's contact, it's a stonewaller. And I think the question for VAR was, did he actually touch it or didn't he? And I've seen it maybe 3 times, 4 times, and I couldn't hand on heart say that he definitely touched it. So you've got to give the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah, that's fair dues. But the next big incident, this was weird in the stadium, because down at the end, I sit looking down that far end. It can be really hard at times to pick up what's going on, especially when there's a bit of stramash in the box. So Maeda obviously gets in one-on-one, a bit similar position to where he scored from in the cup final. He looks to just slot it by the keeper. The keeper pulls off what looks like a really good save. Now, this is one of the clips that I have actually seen so far, because as soon as I logged into Twitter when I got home, it was doing the rounds. People were sharing it, asking why was this not given. So the keeper saves it, the ball's up in the air and it's coming down, and Maeda goes for a diving header just a few yards out, and it looks like a Motherwell player kicks him in the side of the head, which, you know, when you think about what's happened to us in the calendar year of 2024, when Yang got sent off for a dangerous high boot at Tynecastle, and it's like, it looks like the Motherwell player kicks him when he's going for it, because Maeda's got a empty net essentially to put the ball into. But initially, at the time in the stadium, I didn't know what the hell had happened. I thought Maeda had collided with the goalkeeper and he gave a free kick to Motherwell. That's the way it came across. But in the end, he did give a free kick to Motherwell. But looking at all the incidents that happened, I'm like, how did he come to that conclusion at all? But that looked like a proper, as Arthur Montfort would say, a stramash, Terry.
Yeah, I seen it again about 3 times and I still haven't a clue what happened. What I would say was Maeda's first touch from Maeda's pass was superb. It was a little bit like Kyogo's first touch in that third goal against Hibs, where he runs his other foot over the top of the ball and takes it in the strike. Because Maeda's pass was ever so slightly behind him, and he had to sort of shuffle his feet to get the momentum and get himself clean in on the goal. And he was right bang in that same position that he was for the goal against Rangers. But from what happens from there, the keeper saves it. It goes way up in the air. It's looking as if it might even continue on into the net. Then Maeda goes for it. Now his head's low, but when you see what actually happens, then the free kick gets given, I think, because a Celtic player has got his boot close to a Motherwell player's head, but the Motherwell player's head is low as well.
Right.
But at no point there wasn't any claims from any of the Celtic players for a penalty. And on watching it, it wasn't one where I'm thinking we should have had a penalty there. But I'll need to have another look back at it again.
Yeah, see, it's one of the only few clips.
I think it was just so crazy. It was really hard to work out what the hell was happening.
Yeah, it was really said down the end of AMSAT, and then we don't get the benefit of any replays. It looked like the ball had crossed the line, and then like it'd been scooped out of the net, and like there was some celebrations for some players like turning and looking to the ref, and nobody really knew what was going on at all. And then we figured out, hey, wait a minute, he gave a free kick to Motherwell after all that. So yeah, it was all over the place. And as Charles Smith says, the ref was very poor. I think he was a statement watch after last week. Well, maybe there was. Honestly, unhinged stuff. That really. I mean, imagine putting a statement out about officials for our games. It's mental. That one that went out on Christmas Eve. But yeah, maybe he was influenced by that with some of those choices today. But of course, we do eventually get the breakthrough. But up until that point, before we do get it, I say it had just been quite a bizarre game essentially, where just a lot of passing sideways, a lot of waiting for the right opportunity, 10 men behind the ball from Motherwell. And I'm not going to come on here and say, how dare Motherwell, not even try and play football. These teams are going to do what they have to do. They come to Celtic Park. Most of the time, they don't show any adventure. It's up to us to try and take the initiative and find that breakthrough. And it just felt like there was nothing really going our way. But Motherwell never really threatened us. I mean, Kasper Schmeichel, I can't think of many moments where he was called into action, if any at all, to be honest. But yeah,
there was one wee chance they had early in the second half where it was from a corner, and Tony Watt actually got in the way of his own player's attempt, and that would have been on target. Only it deflected off him. But other than that, there's been zero threat, absolutely zero threat. And I was watching Lennon Miller quite closely again, just with the links that there's been with him, and he probably didn't stand out anywhere near as much as he did in the previous game at Fir Park. Still some nice touches, and still think there's definitely a lot of potential in there. But from an attacking perspective, Motherwell offered virtually zero today, and I think we've just become accustomed to this Celtic team. Maybe not in the last couple of games, but this season and over the last 15, 20 years of just blowing teams away. And it doesn't happen like that every single game. Sometimes you have to wait and you have to be patient, and the breakthrough doesn't come straight away. And who's to know, if we didn't get that penalty a minute before halftime, maybe the breakthrough wouldn't have came, or maybe would have struggled again in the second half. But that's how games play out. And I think you just step back and look at overall 90 minutes. It was very, very, very comfortable.
Yeah, I've seen it enough times now. Going to Celtic Park, teams like Motherwell and that, they come with a game plan of they want to just keep it. I mean, I did say at half time to my mate, the way that game felt, because I'm always thinking about incidents in the past that I can link stuff to. And there was a game last season against Motherwell at Celtic Park where a couple of teams did this to us, where they kept themselves in the game with just a goal deficit, and then with 10 minutes to go, they'll throw everything forward. And the way that game was playing out, we went into half time, I felt like this has got a few hallmarks of that one last season, where it's 1-0 at half time. We haven't played particularly amazing up to now, and it's like we need to find a second goal pretty quickly in the second half, because if we get to 80 minutes and it's still 1-0, Motherwell are just going to throw everything forward with long balls, and you never know what panic that can cause. But actually, we did get that penalty. Funny enough, I did see a Twitter account, I believe it's run by some former referees, having their say on this one and saying, oh, it was never a penalty. But the thing is with this is the VAR officials have looked at it. So not only has the referee initially gave the penalty, this isn't one of these ones where the referee has had to stop play because they've got in his ear and said, by the way, we're reviewing this. He's initially gave a penalty, and then the VAR officials have reviewed it, and they've agreed that his decision was correct. So there was two chances there to change it, and they've decided that it was. I have actually seen the clip of that. And again, I think, he gets there first, and if there's any contact and he's got there first, I don't know if maybe their viewpoint is, well, was Yang really in control of the ball? Was he going to score a goal? But the rules are, he's got there first before the goalkeeper, and he's got a clip on him, and that's enough to give a penalty. I say if it was the wrong decision, then that's the VAR officials to tell the referee, you've got this wrong, it's actually not a penalty. But we do get it. Up steps Arnie Engels, and the thing I said to my mate next to me was, every penalty he's taken so far, he's scored 3 in league games, and he scored 1 in the cup final during the penalty shootout. He's went the same way to his right-hand side, the goalkeeper's left, down low. And I was like, right, he needs to, I hope he changes it up, because in the stadium, I don't know if this was picked up on the TV stream, but Adam Ida initially had the ball and was going to take it. and they changed it. Engels took it in the end, because I did think, with the way Engels has been playing and his form being a bit erratic, I was like, I don't know, man. I feel like disaster's just around the corner with these penalties. So when I saw Ida was holding the ball, waiting for the referee to decide penalty or not, obviously he then handed it to Engels. Engels took it, but of course he changed his way. He didn't stick to going to that bottom corner, which is a good thing, Terry, because the goalkeeper dived that way. He actually went down to that corner, so it's a good thing he mixed it up. But hopefully we see a real, this is the type of thing that can pick up Engels' confidence, because at times there was moments there the day where he looked quite good on the ball. I don't think there was some games recently where he was taking heavy touches and giving the ball away, but I felt today he was all right. I don't know if it was a case of getting that goal just, helped him out a wee bit. But first of all, almost I say I'm just delighted that he changed up his direction with the penalty, because that could have been a similar to last season. Remember when Lewis Palmer went on a run of scoring penalty after penalty? Then he had that shocker against Ross County where he got a retake and missed the retake as well. So it's like, it's a good thing, because that would be a real confidence killer for Engels right now, because he's kind of on a fine line right now. So thank God he put it away, Terry.
I think whilst his form's been hot and cold, Phil, when he's had to step up for his penalty kicks, they've all been perfect. He's sent the keeper the wrong way virtually every time. So it's good. It's good for him. It's good for us that he's confident enough, a young lad, to step up and take that responsibility. I didn't notice that Ida had the ball. I don't know whether he was just holding it or whether he was hoping that he was going to be the player to take it. I'm like you. I thought Engels was a wee bit more involved today, and I thought some of his positions were more advanced than he seems to have been playing not in the six, but not really getting forward an awful lot, not breaking into the other team's box or in and around the edge of the box, and it just felt like he was a little bit more advanced at times, and he was getting involved from in a more creative sort of sense. So he's scored the first one. He's been involved in the second one with the corner, and hopefully now that he's had a few months to settle in, he can really kick on the second part of the season. I thought he was better today. I thought Bernardo was very good. Both going forward and tracking back, chasing back. There was one time where he chased back and won the ball back, and he just seems to be able to do all aspects of the game. And then the other side of it is Hatate, who sat out today for those two to start, then comes on and scores as well. So what you want is those five midfielders. You want them all running into a bit of form at the same time and pushing each other on to step up the competition in there.
No, definitely. No, I agree with that. And I say I like Bernardo. I think Bernardo's been kind of shafted this season with the lack of game time he's been getting. Because I always feel whenever he came in, I can't really point to many moments where I go, "Oh, Bernardo was terrible. He was way off it there." I can, however, say the same about Hatate and Engels. I think we could all say that. But I think Bernardo's been a very steady hand, much like last season at times with Bernardo, where he didn't have to be spectacular, but he was just quietly going about his job and just getting it done. He didn't have to, draw attention to himself. He was just a very consistent performer in the middle of the park. So I'd like to think that, going into 2025, second half of the season, we'll see a lot more of Bernardo starting. So it was good to see him get the nod today. And I agree. I think he was, great today. And Engels much, much better than some of the previous performances. So I say, hopefully after stepping up to take that penalty day and getting another goal, these are things that can build Engels' confidence, because he's still a very young lad. We've got to remember that as well. He's in his 21 or something like that. Was it 22? He's still very, very young. Yeah. So I do think we will, come the end of the season, I think we'll be quite happy with Engels' contributions. I think going into next season, I think we'll see even more from him. But in the second half, and there was something I said earlier on that I wanted to bring up about Liam Scales. I think it's time we had a serious conversation, because Celtic, as we know, Terry, other than being quite bad at penalties over the years, we're also really bad at corners. We seem to be really dismal at set pieces. But Liam Scales this season, for the very few times that we've actually scored from a corner set piece, Liam Scales seems to be heavily involved. I believe he scored 3, and today, obviously, his header, I want to say it was goal bound, but obviously Maeda made sure, although there was a wee bit of panic in me when Maeda put it in. I thought, oh no, here, we're going to get the VAR, Maeda offside or something like that on the line. But Liam Scales, I say, for the few times that we always seem to we get something from a corner, he is involved. He scored against Kelly on the opening day. He scored against Bratislava in the Champions League. I believe he's got another one. I want to say Ross County, that game against Ross County a few weeks back. Again, straight from a corner. And then today, obviously, he got us in the end at Engels one, nods it on, and Maeda puts it in the back post. And when you're talking earlier on about, when we get to Ibrox, maybe Scales will keep his place. I mean, we've got to make the most of corners. We get a lot of them in games, because we attack quite a lot, and it always feels like we don't do much from them. But he has been a consistent at that end in terms of that, because nobody else ever seems to get on the end of them. I know Carter Vickers did get one in the cup game against Aberdeen. He did score one, but yeah, Scales. I think there's a serious conversation we had there about the attacking threat he brings as well, Terry.
Yeah, I think he's just old school when it comes to attacking the ball in the air from set pieces, and one of the things that's been levelled at him in his sort of defensive frailties is that he's weak in the air. So remember that phase that we went through where we were losing lots of goals on the left hand side, and Scales and Taylor, and the narrative was that they were both poor in the air. But then at the other end, he's our biggest threat. He's out of those three centre backs, as you say. Carter Vickers chips in now and again with an odd one, but Scales is a live threat at every single corner. And I think the main problem we have is the delivery, getting the delivery right, that he's able to attack it. Some of the corners, and as you say, it's not just this current crop of players. I remember back to some of the best footballers that we had over years and years, and some of the corners we took were absolutely terrible. I remember Andreas Tom taking poor corners, Stilian Petrov taking poor corners, and you would think that's something where it's a dead ball, and you should be able to get a really good delivery at least 4 times out of 5. But there's so many that seem to not make it past the front post. I don't think that one was going in today unless Maeda got the touch from certainly from the TV pictures. It looked as if it was going wide. But if you just look at that corner in isolation, if you think that Scales just meant to flick it on, then it does kind of look like a training ground one. But we'll never know if that's the case. But some of the deliveries, and again, you're looking at Engels had a good one for that, but it's maybe only 1 and 2 deliveries are actually any good, and the other ones are awful. Yeah. And I just don't know why it's such a struggle, and I don't think it's just Celtic, because there's lots of times I watch games and there's players that have changed hands for tens and tens and tens of millions, and they can't take a corner, and I just don't get it, because everything's in your favour. You get to set it up. You've had time to work on these things all week, and you just need to go in there and swing it in. But it just seems to be something in the modern game that players struggle to get consistently good corners.
Yeah, we like taking a lot of short corners as well, which I'm not a massive fan of. But I think that's just the way football is nowadays, where these teams want to retain possession, and maybe managers and coaches are thinking, if we just swing it into the box, we're more susceptible to getting caught on the break. So they play it short and then try to work it into the box. And for me, I'm old school. I just want to swing it into the box, man. Just get ahead on it,
100%. There's nothing frustrates me more when I see us get a free kick in a dangerous position, and we just take it short and we recycle it, and before you know it, it's back with Smigel. And if you've got an asset there, and Scales is an asset, then you play to that strength. And again, you're getting a free delivery to put into the box. All you have to do is, if your player wins that ball, then there's a good chance that something's going to come out of it. And even if the opposition team win the initial ball, you still get the second ball. So I just don't see the point in short corners, short free kicks. I know why they do it, but I also think that when you're getting an opportunity to deliver a ball, and you've got the advantage in that scenario, and you don't use it by recycling the play, and there's no point to you getting the free kick if you just keep playing with the ball, because you might as well not a blue, and you just played from whatever happened. You're not benefiting from that advantage that you've been given. So I would always be keen to to see the ball swung in and to try and find your strongest player in the air. And I think what you've touched on there is the main target man at the minute for us is Scales.
Yeah, without doubt. And I say he's seems to be a bit of a danger. In fact, I remember last season him scoring one against Livingston, which was quite similar to today, where he flicked it on at a similar angle and it did actually go straight in. And say, looking, because you had the benefit of the TV angles today, for where I was, I thought maybe Maeda wasn't going in, or it was going in, and Maeda's just stole it, but you think it was going by anyway. But yeah, he definitely looks like he's got that potential to be a danger, because we do need to make more of them. The amount of times that we get frustrated that we don't cash in on these set pieces, it's so frustrating for a team like us. In fact, there was one corner that was so bad today. I don't. It took ages for us to figure out in the stadium what exactly the referee had given. Even the goalkeeper for Motherwell, when he's like trying to take the set piece, the referee's like blowing his whistle, saying no, and directing him, and the goalie's even like, what? Turned out what happened was we swung the corner in, and it was so bad it went out of play and swung back in. I think we were like 3-0 up at that point anyway. I mean, we were pretty much home and dry. But yeah, corner came in from our right-hand side, and it was a right footer that took it. So the ball was an outswinger, and it went over the goal line. But initially, I think Carter Vickers went up for a header and sort of theatrically threw himself to the ground. And we're like, hold on, does he give a free kick to Motherwell for that? And then eventually we figured out what it was. It was a goal kick, because the linesman was directing him, going, no. Goal kick. Also, breaking news already. Johnny Logue just came in to say, it's 2-1 to St Mirren. 2-1 to St Mirren.
That'll be Big Phil. So about 3 weeks ago, it was Phil out, and then after getting another 3-3 draw, shall we say, in normal time, I even heard someone say that despite Celtic having more money and better players, Rangers had a better manager, and I couldn't believe the nonsense I was hearing. That'll be him back out again tonight, I would say. Yeah. They're just don't get me started. Some of the stuff I've heard in the last 2 weeks, it's just unbelievable. That Willie Collum. So because Willie Collum has spoken, then we've been cheated. We've been hard done by. Willie Collum says it's this, so it must be. This is the same Willie Collum who they wouldn't take his word for it a year ago when he gave an explanation as to why they didn't get a penalty in the Alistair Johnson incident.
Yep.
It's just, if it doesn't suit their narrative, they just don't want to know. And without going back over that same crap again, I'd say most people have heard the audio, and I think it's good that you can hear the audio, and I think you should be able to hear the audio without it having to be one of the incidents that gets brought up on Willie's podcast or whatever it is that he does. But I haven't heard anyone else talk about, and in the audio you can hear the discussion between the two guys, but I haven't heard anyone else. You've heard it, I take it. Have you heard it yourself? Yeah.
Yes, for the cup final, about it being more out than in.
Do you not hear the bit though, where at the very start, as soon as the incident takes place, there's a guy screaming hysterically, "I shall penalty!" Now that doesn't sound like a professional environment where there's guys trying to make a professional decision to get the right outcome. That sounds like a chaotic, I don't know if it's the back of a van or where it is that they are, but there's clearly someone in there who really wants that to be a penalty without actually getting. Now it turns out that he probably was right, but that didn't sound like a working environment where you've got people working together to get the correct decision. That sounded to me where there's a fan in there and he's just wanting it to be a penalty no matter what. And I don't know, but I think this will work, Phil. At some point, if VAR stays, and I think everything points to it staying, I think we're slowly taking steps to the point where, like the rugby, you'll get to hear the VAR conversation live. Now, whether that's, I don't know if that, I've never been to a rugby game, so I don't know if you can hear it in the stadium or is it just on TV that you can hear it. But
I think it's going to be TV. I think
TV. I think we'll get to that stage where you can hear that conversation. I think it'll take a while, but there'll be really slow steps going towards that. And I think today as well, the fact that you were able to get that Celtic home game on a pay-per-view, I think that will start to crank up as well, and there will come a time where you'll be able to watch You'll be able to buy a virtual season ticket for someone who doesn't travel to games. You'll be able to buy a virtual season ticket and watch every home game, Saturday 3:00 and all of that. I think we're just starting to see really the embryonic moves towards all of these kind of different interactive experiences.
Yeah, it's definitely regarding you talk about virtual season tickets and stuff like that. Then it's more money for clubs. It would be foolish not to embark upon that. I know there's talk. It's still a couple of years away, but I think the next. I know it's English Premier League, but it kind of affects us anyway because they've got a similar structure to how their games are shown. Because we're affected by the 3:00 blackout. I think they're talking about when the next Premier League deal gets signed. I think it's due in 2028. They might be abolishing the 3:00 blackout as well. So that's interesting to see. And that I say that'll affect us because Sky are our national broadcaster. We get games on BBC and STV and all that as well. So if the 3:00 blackout suddenly gets ended in the UK, then we'll see what that brings for football fans. They can watch games live at 3:00. We'll wait and see what comes of that one. But I say it's more money for the clubs if they can go down that route, and they'd be foolish not to. But in terms of the
full time there, by the way, so they couldn't even get to the 2nd of January with the resurgence.
Amazing! I didn't realise it was that near to full time. So
no, that's it. No,
fantastic.
Simone scored with 5 minutes to go.
Well, live on the other hand, so there you go, full time. What's it? Casper Schmeichel does in the Christmas advert. He just goes, "That hilarious." Just for deadpan. That's what I'm thinking right now. That was it. The title challenge lasted all of a few days because I see on Sunday after we drew with Dundee United, suddenly the screen grabs all over from follow.com and stuff like that. They're rubbish, man. See if we beat them on January 2nd. That's it, 26 points. Anything can happen then. Well, there you go. Have some of that, boys. How'd you like that one? So yeah, 12 behind us now. So it's been a very happy Christmas with that one. But in terms of the game, one thing I want to bring up again, second half, the referee became even more infuriating. So a few things I've got noted is the number 55 for Motherwell. I think he could have walked because he's already on a booking, and there was a break at one point where I think we were 2-0 up at the time, and he seems to connect with Tony Ralston, he throws an arm out, hits Tony Ralston in the face. They break up the park. We managed to deal with it, but again, I got flashbacks to there was a game. In fact, it was Brendan's first time in charge. The last game Brendan was in charge before jumping to Leicester, when Motherwell scored a really steady goal on the break against us, where we should have got a free kick, and they just out the park and scored. And again, I was like, this referee's just always. Then he was doing things like there was one point he made us take a corner again, completely inexplicably. Just made us take a corner again, and nobody knew what was going on. And free kicks for offside and stuff like that. And he's like, no, back further. No, they are. No. Yep.
See with that corner. So Engels does the little sneaky one where you set it up with your foot and you just roll your foot over it and then walks away. And the referee never seen it being touched. So because he never seen it being touched, he's brought it back again.
Okay, that's fair then. That's fine. To say the time in the stadium, we were all just like, what's going on? So there's a lot of frustration coming down for the stands. We were trying to figure out what is this guy doing. So that's what it was then, right? That's fair dues. And see with the boy, the number 55 for Motherwell, do you think that should have been a free kick second booking? You know what I'm talking about, where he just basically.
No, I can't even remember it. And see, despite paying for the stream today, mine actually did cut out quite a few times in the second half. So I don't recall that particular incident. One thing I did want to pick on though as well is Dyson Maida, 20 seconds after scoring, he's back winning the ball back in our left back area.
Yes,
it just tells you everything about him. I just thought that was wonderful. You get players sometimes and they score and they take the applause of the crowd and everything, and he didn't care. He was sprinting back 100 miles an hour within seconds to get the ball back. I just thought brilliant.
Yeah, I noticed that in the stadium as well. Because again, it's like we've just gone 2-0 up, and with us, if there's a they get one back, like a really dodgy moment, you're just like, oh no, we don't want it. Because we got happened in the cup final, we go 3-2 up with 3 minutes to go, and 30 seconds later we've lost another goal. So it's like you just don't know at times. But no, he was just making sure. He's like, nah, he's only getting anything today, and yeah, the way he closed that down, just it sums up Dyson Maida, just endless amounts of energy. But you said earlier on, obviously when the subs did come on, obviously it improved us because a few of the first teamers were obviously on the bench. Nicholas Kuhn comes on, Hatate, and both of them obviously get get their goals. Hatate, obviously, he's needed a wee goal in the recent games after getting the one up at Pittodrie, even though he had a bit of a up and down game that night as well. Obviously, finished the goal well on the night, but yeah, he finishes that one. Tucks it away well today, just sticks in the bottom corners from outside the area. And obviously, Kuhn's one, there is a bit of deflection on it. In fact, a massive deflection on it. Yeah. But again, Nicholas Kuhn doing what he does best. He cuts in with that, as you say, the Arjen Robben move, where you cut in from the right-hand side on your left foot. And yeah, he gets the shot away. But yeah, in the end, it wraps it up pretty well. But I say a bit of an intriguing game, because I felt like we never really had to break a sweat, and we've still won 4-0. Yeah, there will be some fans that will still be a bit, you just can't please some fans out there. The first half was a bit turgid. And granted it was, but the only stat that matters is a full-time score. And without really having to go up of many gears, we've ended up scoring 4 goals today. And now we've got the added bonus of the title rivals, if we can even call them that. They've went and lost as well. So all's well that ends well, Terry.
Yeah, and just to touch on the Kuhn goal, yes, he gets a real slice of luck, but I think the skill from him on that goal was finding the space. So he didn't do that sort of signature run where he picks it up and he's got his boots on the white chalk on the touchline. He was actually in field a little bit, and he just picked up a lovely pocket of space. And once he got it, he's got tunnel vision. He's just get it onto the left and get the shot away. So yeah, he got a bit of luck, but he earned it. Hatate's goal, some nice interchanging play from Maeda and Kyogo, and I think it's Baye actually gets the last assist on it, if you like. And again, Hatate's another one, Phil, much maligned this season and hasn't hit the heights. And you could maybe argue that his trajectory with Celtic is on a downward sort of spiral from the heights that he hit at the very start to then quieter the next season, and getting to a point this season where you're kind of looking and thinking he's not a first choice anymore. I think it would be good for him to try and run into a bit of form as well. And despite not being in form and despite not being his best, he does still chip in with goals. He got the goal at Pittodrie and then chips in again today, despite only being on the field for a short period of time. So I think I think there's a lot to be happy with today. Yes, it wasn't brilliant in the first half, but you've won 4-0 at home the day after Christmas Day. And I was just checking the league table there as well. 17 games played now, 4 goals conceded. When have you ever known the Celtic defence to be so mean? Because even at the times where we've been really, really good and dominating the league and winning, readily, we've always kind of been a bit susceptible to letting goals in. And 13 clean sheets out of 17 in the league, that's pretty special. That's pretty special.
Well, the thing is, you look at the Invincible season, obviously Brendan's first season in charge. I believe at this stage we would have been, probably 2 points worse off, because I looked at this the other day. We drew 1 game with Inverness in that first half of the season, and we're coming up to the halfway point now, and we've drawn 2 games, so we're 2 points worse off. But yeah, I'd imagine we probably conceded a few more goals because we were a bit more attack-minded in the Invincible season, but obviously we're still getting the wins and the results. But yeah, this is a ruthless, mean defence to get through. And yeah, only 4 goals. That's astounding.
And a goalkeeper who makes all the saves that he's supposed to make.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you saw the clip that was doing the rounds last week from Ben Foster's podcast. Casper Schmeichel was on it, and he was talking about why he joined Celtic and whatnot. And one thing that he said, which again just sums him up, I think, and sums up the mentality of this team, is he's talking about the record so far this season. We've only drawn 1 game. We've won every other game, but we've drawn 1. It was to Aberdeen. And then he threw in the line that caught my attention was, we weren't happy about that. And I was like, I bet they weren't. The mentality of this team and the way Brendan Rodgers is, he comes across over. Brendan's always very cordial in front of the cameras and all that. But I think behind the scenes, I think he'll be drilling into them. He says, well, when we look at what happened in the Cup semi-final, do you think that 2-2 draw with Aberdeen wasn't on his mind? When I say, we're going to prove a point today. We're going to go out there. We're going to make sure that they know that if they want to come and try and challenge us, we're going to put them in their place. And when I heard Casper Schmeichel say that, saying about, we won, they weren't happy about that. But overall, when you look at the bigger picture, you go, end of the day, we're still well ahead in the league. But no, that shows you the mentality of the guy. And he's shown as well in games this season where we can be cruising, no problem. But with a couple of minutes to go, they might get the other team might get a chance and he's just called into action, but he's alert. He's always, ready for it. So it just shows that the mentality. And in fact, before he signed for us, I remember seeing a clip of his dad talking on a podcast with, I think it was the one that like Gary Lineker and stuff do. And he said that when Leicester won the league in England, on the day they got the trophy, he was this was the last game of the season, obviously, and if he conceded a goal that day, it would have meant he wouldn't have won the Golden Gloves. And they did concede a goal that day, and he didn't win the Golden Glove for the season, and he was fuming about that. Even though Leicester had achieved the biggest miracle in their history, he was furious that day, and I'm like, that sums him up. And I think that will bleed into the rest of the dressing room. I think a lot of them will have that mentality. We talked about Joe Hart and the mentality he had and the way it rubbed off on the players. I think Kasper Schmeichel will add to that mentality as well.
Yeah, 100%, Phil. I can't remember us having a defensive record anywhere as good as that. I think there was one run we went on, wasn't there, where Forster, I think, didn't concede for a long time. But even though Forster was an excellent shot stopper, despite his height, I didn't like him on cross balls. There's really nothing about Schmeichel that I don't see any real weaknesses. I don't see any area of his game where you have any concerns. And I was a bit skeptical when he was the name that we went for. I just thought after the length of time that we had to try and get someone in, is that it just, I don't know, it just felt, is that a lazy one? But what a signing. Superb. And I just hope that it's just a formality that we get another season out of him next year. The only way that won't happen is if the players completely against it and Celtic don't invoke the 1 year as a sort of goodwill gesture. But I don't see, from everything you see, you obviously don't see them day to day, but from everything you see on the pitch, he looks to be relishing it. And as I say, that probably, if we could get that announced, that would be good. And that thing where the players were annoyed about the draw with Aberdeen, I'm kind of hoping that the players, despite winning the cup, will be a bit annoyed about the fallout and how the perception was put across that Rangers were unlucky, Rangers were hard done by, Rangers were the better side, Rangers deserved to win. They just heard so much shit in the last 2 weeks, and there was one as well. It's almost tried to put it across that penalty incident was that was the final moment in the match, where a ref was just about to blow the final whistle. It happened at the very, very start of extra time, because I had ran up to the house to get something, but before I managed to get back down again, the game had kicked off and that incident had taken place. There was still 27 minutes to go. Just the way everything's been spun, I'm absolutely delighted that they've got beat there today. I'm over the moon with that, because it's just so hard to get any sort of rationalized reaction out of these people, and they just flip from one extreme to another. Like it was Clement out, get him out. Then he gets a draw, and then he's the best manager. We're going to win the league, and just none of it makes any sense at all.
In out, shake it all about.
We could be sitting here in a week's time, and they might get a result against us. They're due one, but I just think we've kind of been playing in first or second gear just over the last 2 months, and I'm just hoping that there's a big performance just about to come out, and we're just timing it perfectly for a week's time.
Yeah, the planets are aligning. This is the fixture when Brendan comes alive. I think this is the one that he thrives in. He's shown over the years in his first spell and in this current spell as manager. This is the one that he lives for. Basically, he pulls results out when people are. So everyone's pointing towards it's going to be a Rangers victory. The very first one when he came back at Ibrox, when Kyogo scored from just outside the area, we went in with a back line that was pretty much held together by sticky tape, and somehow came away with a 1-0 victory. And it's like we're just capable. I think we've just got a better mentality than them.
One defeat in 20, Phil, he's had in that fixture.
It says it all, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah. And also when you look at the bigger picture now, as we head towards the end of 2024, we've lost one domestic game all calendar year. We've lost one European game. We currently hold all 3 trophies as well. And we're currently 12 points forward. We've got one more domestic game to go this calendar year against St Johnstone on Sunday. Not that way, jinx it or anything, but I've got a funny feeling we're going to get through that one okay. And yeah, we go through an entire calendar year with just one domestic defeat at Tynecastle, which was under quite dodgy circumstances. Let's be honest, there was some questions on that one. And the game against Dortmund was just an absolute mauling. We just got what happened that night just happened. But yeah, overall, we definitely cannot complain of where we're sitting right now, Terry. It's good at the moment to be a Celtic fan.
It's good, and I think it's only going to get better. Like I say, we've kind of been playing with a handbrake on for 6 to 8 weeks now. Really since the Aberdeen semi-final. I know we then had the first half against Ross County, but no, I think there's gears to go through here, and this is a time of season with this game next week, and then the final 2 Champions League games coming early in the new year. This is the time to get sort of step it back up again. And again, it would be amazing if we did get through this this Champions League phase, and everything points to that. That's going to be the case. And then you can start to dream, because it's going to be quite an open draw. I think on one of the pods we were on, I don't actually know. I think one of the guys in the chat had said that the draw was already predetermined. We're
Is
the
Conference League's finished its league stage, and they've already got the fixtures, and it's where you finish. So say Celtic finish 23rd, we would then be paired up with the team that finishes 10th. That's how it goes. So it's like 9th will play 24th, 10th will play 23rd.
That's definite, because I tried to check it out, and I read somewhere else that the teams would find out who they played the next day, which then made me think, well, why would they have to wait to the next day?
Because you would know it full time where you finished in the league. But no, the Conference League, which is also a 36-team format, and the Europa League's the same, but the Conference League has now finished its league section. They only played 6 games. But yeah, the fixtures have all been determined. So I say it's like 24th plays 9th, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's how it works out. So we'll know when we finish at full time against Aston Villa, if we've made it through. Say we finish, say 19th or something like that, then we'll know. You'll be able to pair it up.
You could end up with a game like a team like Brest or something that have done really, really well, and you would fancy that over 2 games. But anyway, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. Let's keep the focus on Sunday and Thursday, and we'll get that out of the way first of all.
Before we go, you're just talking there about Kasper Schmeichel. I think he will sign a year extension. I think that's a given. He clearly is loving life at the club again. If you watch that interview he does on Ben Foster's podcast, you can tell by his body language. I think he just loves the mentality of this club. It speaks to him. He's got that Schmeichel blood in him. His dad was a born winner as well. Very determined guy. He's got it as well. So he loves being at a club that strives to win every week. Because when he won the league at Leicester, it wasn't expected. Obviously, they did it. It was an absolute miracle that they did it. But there isn't that mentality. He seems to thrive in a mentality, a club that's got that ethos of we need to win every week. Second is not an option here. So he's loving that. But another one that Patman67 does says Kasper and Rodgers extend contracts. When do you think we're going to hear any news? Do you think we'll get that at some point this season, or will Brendan wait till the end of the season before there's any talks? I know it was brought up to him around about the time of the AGM, and he had a wee quip. He said something like, I spent all last season people wanting me out. I'm not in any hurry to sign any new contracts or whatnot. I think he was just Brendan being Brendan. But I think he will stay. I know he said he'll stay for his 3 years. He'll do his 3 years or whatever. He says, unless I get emptied before then. But I don't think that'll be happening. But I think he'll stay beyond the 3 years. And I think maybe it'll be the end of the season before we get any announcements. But things are going well for him right now. And I can see him maybe extending his stay here.
Yeah, I think the summer would probably be the right time for that. We know that he met with Desmond over the last couple of weeks there, didn't he? Say that they travelled over to see Dermot Desmond himself and Nicholson and one of the other guys, and that couldn't really have been about the January window, because you would expect that the January window all the planning for that would have been done over the last 4 or 5 months. I can't really think that meeting would have been to try and work out what the budget is or what we can do in January. So the likelihood is that meeting, the discussion around Rodgers potentially staying on would have been on that meeting agenda at some point. So I'd say that will probably play out over the next 6 months. From his own perspective, I think it's probably in his interest to see how the season plays out. I mean, because if he delivers a treble and we also progress through this first phase of the Champions League, that puts him in a much stronger bargaining position for his own contract. So I'd expect the discussions, early tentative discussions, have started, and I would imagine that they'll continue to take place over the next 6 months, and then there'll be a yay or a nay during the summer at some point. Either I think if he's going to go, I think you might even get that kind of notice that he doesn't sign anything and that he lets us know well in advance that he's going to be moving on. So you could even get that outcome as early as the summer. I'm here for another year, and then I'm moving on to a new challenge. And then he'll announce that John Kennedy's going to replace him.
Him or Scott Brown. That's my fear. Scott Brown worries me because he's doing a lot of media work for Celtic while employed by another club. What
I find interesting, Phil, sorry to cut across you, was right. Rodgers, in one of the interviews that I heard him giving there, he said that he's a lot more hands-off than he was the last time that he was here. He said when he was here the last time, he was on the grass, as he likes to say, and he was taking all of the sessions, where he singled out John Kennedy as being the person who is he's in charge of training. I've just got oversight and I'm doing the managerial stuff. John is the guy that's doing it. And I wondered, was he laying a very, very early seed for something in the future or not? I don't know, but he certainly was giving Kennedy the credit. And whilst again he's been someone who has he's sort of divided the support. I think the fact that so many managers have worked with Kennedy and they've all given him glowing references, he has to be an asset.
Yeah.
He has to be an asset. Now, whether that means that at any point he's going to get the reins, that's a completely different question, because there's lots of people who are really good coaches, but they aren't good managers, and it might just be that is his niche, that he's an excellent coach, but it's no longer a discussion where it's Kennedy and Strachan in the same sort of sentence. There's been times where Kennedy's been singled out, in particular on his own, for praise, and the manager did that over the last couple of weeks in one of the interviews that I heard.
Well, he's been kept on for a reason. How have you ever seen a club that's operated that way, where they change the manager, but the assistant and head coach, or the first team coach, whatever it is, always stays the same? You very, very rarely see a club operate that way, so he gets kept on for a reason. And I know he had the rehearsal essentially doing the sort of 10 games in the COVID season, but hey, nothing could save that season, let's be honest. But yeah, he does get kept on for a reason, and of course Ange did want to take him to Tottenham Hotspur with him, and he said no, he was happy to stay at Celtic. So he's definitely doing something right, but I just feel like
that one for today, we've certainly got a lot more time of enjoying this Rodgers team.
Definitely. I'm saying if that was today where we didn't really have to break a sweat and we still put 4 past Motherwell, then I'll take it.
I agree with that point there, the Desmond meeting. I mean, Desmond's name or his face only appears whenever something big's going down, and it's usually something big, positive or negative, and there's nothing to be negative about. And if it is with a nod to January, then maybe there is something big going down in January, and they just needed a signature on a check or something. Who knows?
We'll wait and see. January just around the corner. I'm sure we'll be in silly season again. All the transfer rumours will be doing the rounds, so we've got all that to look forward to. But as our chairman once said, once upon a time, January is a notoriously difficult window to shop in. But hopefully that's not the case at all this season. I don't want no Will flood scenarios again, where we're coming at the end of the window and that's all we've got to show for it. It's something of that ilk. So hopefully the due diligence is done, because there is still a few things we can definitely improve on. And he should always improve move from a position of strength. And my God, Celtic are certainly in a position of strength right now. 12 points in front. An added Christmas bonus. Cheers, St Mirren. That was unexpected today. I thought maybe a wee sneaky draw or something like that, but not to go and win it. Fair play. Delighted. That's just made it even better. Just one egg on their face. Once again, the noisy neighbours don't learn. They were mouthing off before, the fat lady had even sung. They were already talking about closing the gap, and already we've pushed them that little bit further back. Got a win today, say 4-0. Can't really complain about that at all. And yeah, we've got St Johnstone coming to town on Sunday. As I said at the top of the show, it's that time of the year where I don't know what day it is, but yeah, today is Thursday. So yeah, Sunday we've got them, and then we've got Rangers a week today, and then St Mirren at home. In fact, actually Rangers are playing Motherwell, I believe, on Sunday at Fir Park. So that'll be interesting to see how that one goes as well, because Fir Park's not exactly a easy place to go at times, and with them losing tonight, they might be really broken. It could be an even bigger gap come kick off on the 2nd of January. Oh God, imagine it. But yeah, lots to look forward to over the next week. So tomorrow night I'll be back again with Liam. We will do. In fact, there's Liam in the chat. Here's Punk Talk Warlords. So me and Liam will be back tomorrow night to talk about Friday feeling, to look forward to the St Johnstone game. P.M.P. Russell should be back, I believe he said, on the 28th, which is Saturday, and we play on Sunday. So obviously, Russell should be here for P.M.P. on Sunday, but if I need to fill in again, if he lets me know, then that's absolutely fine. But you just give it a bit of notice. And yeah, I say we then go again, and it's all eyes on Ibrox for the 2nd of January game. So tasty times ahead, Terry. It's been a pleasure as always coming on and having a chat with you about the game, mate. Enjoyed that very much. And yeah, everybody, I think this goes without saying. Enjoy the rest of your night. I think all of you in the chat will have no problem enjoying the rest of your night given the events of today. But yes, whatever you're doing, enjoy it, folks. And if you're working tomorrow, if you're like me, unfortunately working, if you've got a Rangers fan in the office, then make sure you have a wee word to them and let them know. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. Yeah. Cheers. See you.